Guess what? It is race week again, and this week we will be racing in Hungary, which means this race will be a hit or miss since races here are either banging or boring. Anyways, with how the season is going recently with Mercedes and McLaren right next to Red Bull now, while Ferrari continue to do whatever they're doing, we can see a four-way fight for wins now, and perhaps the championship, but I doubt. Anyways, the hype is real for Hungary since we all want to see the four best teams on the grid give it their all and fight for the win this weekend. So having said that, let us discuss the potential upgrades teams will be bringing, any drama that has happened since Silverstone, as well as my predictions for this year's Hungarian Grand Prix. So, here's the weekend preview. So we have a lot of teams to talk about upgrade wise, and these will probably be the last few upgrades before the summer break. Anyways, let's start with the speculated team upgrades, and first up for the lower teams, we have Haas, since it has been announced recently that they have upgrades in the pipeline, and some of these can potentially come to Hungary, and with how things are at the Haas team, there is justified reason to be very optimistic, since Hulkenberg and K-Mag are cooking, and we can see something great again this weekend, also considering that Kevin now has the upgrades Nico had last race. Next up for speculated upgrades, we have Williams, and they could bring one of, if not their biggest upgrades here, and this can be so good for the team, since Albon has been driving well this year, as well as Sargent may be getting the pots and pans ready to cook after his good outing at Silverstone. So, let's see how they can close up to the rest of the grid and maybe start being point scorers a bit more often. Next up, we have Gambling Live Streaming F1 team, and they are said to be bringing in a B-Spec car potentially, and this can hopefully jump them up from being comfortably worse to barely worse. So let's see how they can improve. But talking real though, you've got to feel bad for Joe and Bottas, since both can be performing much better, but man, that car looks and performs like vomit. So moving on to the next team. The next team we have is Aston Martin, and they plan to upgrade the side, the floor, and the halo of the car, and these look to be pretty big, so let's see if they work. They had a great outing last time out in Silverstone, but as we so often see, their upgrades are downgrades, so we need to look at these upgrades very cautiously since there is a big chance they just make the car slower, or not even faster at all. Gotta feel bad for Alonso and maybe Stroll here. Now for the big dogs, and first up, we have McLaren. Since there have been rumors about more and more upgrades to the car, and even if it's as something small as the wing mirrors, they are still upgrades, and their effort should be applauded, since I imagine this is very straining for the workers, but at least it's paying off on the track. Next up, we have Red Bull, and it's rumored that a front wing is due for Hungary, and Red Bull hope it can fix the balance issues with the car, because as we saw last week with Max and especially Checo, the balance is everywhere. One session it's fast, the other it's slow, and they need to fix these setup issues, otherwise they can kiss that championship goodbye, since McLaren's and Mercedes' trajectory is skyrocketing. Speaking of Mercedes, they are our final team, and it's implied that big upgrades are coming. As for what it could be, I honestly don't know, but my guess would be a new floor, since their floor is probably the worst aspect of the car, and if they do bring in a new floor, this can be big since they also do struggle with the tires, so a new floor can potentially get rid of both of these issues. Enough upgrade talk though, let's talk tea, and to be honest, it's actually been quite quiet, so these stories are ones you've likely already heard. Anyways, during the Silverstone weekend, the F1 movie featuring Brad Pitt and the guy from Snowfall had its first ever teaser trailer shown, and let me be honest, I am low-key excited since it does look pretty good, albeit maybe a bit cheesy, but those are the best racing films in my opinion, the cheesy but cool ones, and I feel like this movie will do pretty well. Next up, we have Leclerc stating in post-race interviews after Silverstone how he is starting to feel overwhelmed by everything that has happened to him, and you have to feel for him. While some misfortune was definitely due to him, most of it was bad luck, and what makes it worse is seeing that Max, Lando, and even Mercedes are now starting to run away, while Ferrari have only gone backwards. Somebody save this man and me. Next up, we have Mercedes entering the scene for good. They were fast in Canada, they were fast in Spain, they were fast and won in Austria, even though it's due to the crash, and now they were fast and won in Silverstone. This is clearly not temporary form. They are at the front and they are here to stay, and this competition sets us up nicely for when F1 leaves in the summer break and comes back for the final stretch. Finally, we have not drama, but rather a preaching. If you haven't seen F3 this season, I don't blame you, you're not really missing out on much, but what you are missing out on is a driver who won both the feature and sprint race at Silverstone in interesting conditions, to say the least, and his name is Arvin Lindblad, since he is, in my opinion, the next big thing that we should all keep an eye on for the next coming years. Anyways, enough drama talk, and let us get into the spicy bits, and that is my predictions for this year's Hungarian Grand Prix. Like always, 3 things will get predicted: the top 5 in the quali, the top 5 in the race, and a random prediction from any session. It should also be noted that these predictions are based on nothing but pure vibes, so bear with me. So let us begin with the qualifying predictions, and I predict in 5th will be Charles Leclerc, 4th will be Lando Norris, 3rd will be George Russell, 2nd will be Max Verstappen, and for pole position I have Lewis Hamilton, since this is one of his best tracks, just like Silverstone. Now for the race predictions, and in 5th I have Checo Perez, bear with me, in 4th I have Lando Norris, in 3rd I have Max Verstappen, in 2nd I have George Russell, and the winner of the Hungarian Grand Prix is Lewis Hamilton again, since, yet again, one of his best tracks. For my random prediction, I am predicting that in FP3, a driver will have a crash which will make them unable to qualify for the Hungarian Grand Prix. And there is the weekend preview for this year's Hungarian Grand Prix. I am hyped. Are you hyped? You better be, since this weekend looks to be the 3rd banger in a row, since upgrades are coming to the winning teams this weekend, which can hopefully mean closer action and better racing, and hopefully no crashes, just pure, hard, and fair racing. This weekend can be something great, and we should all stay very excited for not only this race, but the rest of the season going forwards, since I am getting some 2019 vibes, meaning boring start, but slowly getting more exciting with each passing weekend. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, since that would greatly help me and allow me to create better content, and let me know in the comments what your predictions are, and as always, have an amazing day.
Good weather for the duck.